Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at NECA's Eastman and Laird's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Claw Shredder. It's one of the Shredder clones. This figure, as far as I'm aware, never saw a standard release. I do believe this was a Loot Crate exclusive figure. That's why I didn't have one until now. I contacted my NECA rep and asked for my NECA rep. I'm not special, I happen to know. Anyway, I have a contact. I contacted my NECA contact. They are a representative of NECA. It's not like they're exclusive to me. Anyway, and I asked if they had any review samples of this guy so I could show it to you guys if you're trying to track them down. I know some of you are probably trying to complete the set without wanting to go through the Loot Crate hassle. And they said, yes, here's a review sample, and so now I can show it to you. Now, do remember, this came out a while ago. In fact, if memory serves, it came out right around the time NECA started doing the ball joint hips. And that's going to play into this review. So let's go ahead and get this guy off the stand and take a closer look. Before we look at the figure, let's take a quick look at my package. We do have the standard box, no flaps or anything. So nice window here on the front, a little bit of window on the side. Can't see much, but it's cool enough. Artwork on the front is nice. It is a relatively bland box, but makes this stand out a little bit more. On the side, we get a perfect representation of the figure, or of the character the figure is based on. Fairly accurate. I will come back to this briefly in a moment. More artwork right there. Yeah, so LC, so it's Loot Crate. Thought so. And then some figure poses on the back. Nice packaging. Not the special kind, but still really darn good. And I guess I'll go ahead and talk about this now before we get into the rest. The one thing I think this figure would benefit from greatly is to have the more spiky head thingies. See how high that sticks up? That looks freaking cool, and these stick out pretty far, and they look more ominous and mean looking, whereas on the figure, it's much more tight to the head. It's kind of wrapped around the head. Now, you might be able to heat it up and fix it some, but instead of having the really tall center one and the shorter side ones, you're still going to have the opposite. The side ones are quite long, and the top one's relatively short. Story of my life. But it still looks pretty cool, so let's go ahead and do the review. This guy stands roughly about 6 7/8 inches to the very top of the head. That's going to make him just about, we'll call it 17.5 centimeters. Here he is up against a Marvel Legends Darwin. Scaling seems okay to me. Alright, so the reason I'm reviewing this guy is because of this guy. Not exactly, but this guy got released, again, in that multicolored 3-pack from Best Buy, and I thought it would be good for me to finally review this to show you guys if you do want to track it down. It is a really cool sculpt, fairly unique, that's for sure. And so this one was actually solid. The articulation, everything was fine on this one. And I said when I reviewed these, just check out the individual review when I do it so that you can check it out. But this one doesn't have loose joints anywhere. It functions perfectly. No issues with the joints on this guy. On this guy, on the other hand, I just want to get this out of the way. This guy's a floppy mess, so be aware of that. But we're going to run through the review fairly quickly because I don't think the whole body is still Shredder, and then we just have unique arms, legs, and head, but still, I wanted to give you an idea. So let's do the aesthetic. It looks great. I love the claw arms. They look wonderful. They're very accurate to the source material. The paint job is wonderful. I love the armor, other than the head spikes. Like I said, I didn't mention it, but these should be a little bit longer too, these spikes. But the armor is painted very nicely with the black line work on there, and then we have the very silver paint, very bright, and then a little bit of blue shading. It looks wonderful. The red eyes poking through looks great. Comic style paint job everywhere else looks really good. I am not upset about the way this figure looks at all. It's going to look great on a shelf. I just wish this was a little bit different. So, aesthetically speaking, I'm going to go 9 out of 10. It's pretty darn good. It looks wonderful. No accessories at all. This is all you get in the package, so 0 out of 10. And now it's time for the articulation. Even though most of these turtle figures are really just meant to stand there and look good, we have to run it just so you have an idea of what you can do posing-wise. We do have a ball peg on the top of the head, or on the top of the neck for the head, which does surprisingly afford quite a bit of range. That's nice. There's a hinge, a swivel hinge technically down here, so the neck will lean forward and back, and then you can rotate that around. It's always difficult to do while the heads are on, so I'm not going to pop it off and try, but it works just like most of the foot soldiers or foot ninjas and shredders, so that's fine. Shoulder pads are fixed and very stiff, so don't try to flex them out of the way, you'll break it. For the shoulders, you get the rotation up to the shoulder pad though, so that's okay. As far as the hinge goes, I can't get it any higher than that on that side. Let's try this side. Nope, can't get it to move any farther than that. It's too tight. Shoulders are tight in that direction. This bicep swivel is super stuck. This one was stuck, but I was able to get it to free up, so that's okay. I believe these are the exact same biceps as all the shredders and foot soldiers also, so be aware of that. Double jointed elbows on this guy. The bottom one is very loose. Is it on this side too? No, this side it's okay. The top one's loose. So this one definitely has joint issues. The bottom one's stuck on this side and the top one's loose, so that sucks. This side, it's a little bit better, but not great. There is no swivel in the wrist, so the claws are only going to face forward, but you do get a surprisingly well done thumb claw, which works nicely, and it technically rotates too, but there's no spot for it to actually do it because it's ovular, it's oblong, but that's pretty cool that it has the hinge. So I like that. Waist twist in the torso. Hips are the ball sockets. The hips are the ball sockets, but they are incredibly loose. They're not as loose front to back, but they're still loose, and then side to side, they're just a floppy mess. You do get a thigh swivel in there, double jointed knee, no problems there. And then the ankles are actually really good too, Mega Man style feet. They go back pretty far, and then they go forward almost none, but a little bit. And you get an ankle rocker, which is decent. So other than the looseness and stuckness, it's going to articulate just fine. So if you can spend some time with it with a hairdryer, you can probably get the stuck things moving, but you can't get the loose things tightened. Except you kind of can because, well, for these kind of joints, you're kind of stuck. But for ball sockets, just pop the leg off carefully. Throw a little piece of paper in there, just a little flat piece of paper just to thicken up the wall of that socket, and it usually helps. It creates a little bit of extra friction. So give that a shot, it might help. But as you can see, you just stick it on the shelf like that, it's still going to look really cool. So the articulation sucking isn't as big of a deal, but it does suck, so I'm going to go 5 out of 10. Because if it didn't have stuck and loose joints, it'd be fine, but it does, so I'm leaving it down there. But it's time for the final verdict. If you're going for aesthetic, get it. It's awesome, track one down. If you're going for really functional joints that work well, not the one for you. I have to be completely honest, even if it's a review sample, that's how it always is. I've had tons and tons of review samples from NECA, and some of them have just been flat out bad figures, and I'm happy to tell you when they are. And I'm not happy to, but I'm perfectly willing to. This one looks great. No accessories, not great for posing. That's a hard call. I'm going to say it gets only a 6 out of 10. The aesthetic is for final verdict. The aesthetic is wonderful. It's going to look great on the shelf, but it is an action figure that has tons of joint issues. So that's not really okay. That's unfortunate. But now you know, so if you want to track them down, you have all the information you need to not be super disappointed when you get it out of your box from eBay. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, a thumbs down will do. And if you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I have new videos almost every single day and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. In the meantime, keep collecting.